Charlie's wasn't random. It was scheduled.
Elon Musk and Joe Rogan just dropped something that sent the entire internet into meltdown. The wildest part, the conversation wasn't even supposed to be about this, yet somehow Charlie Kirk's widow became the center of their talk, and the way they handled it had everyone's jaw on the floor. It all kicked off when Joe Rogan, during his latest podcast, admitted he's been secretly following Charlie's case for months. He said too many things just don't add up. Too many gaps, contradictions, and strange coincidences that no one's explaining. That confession alone had people replaying the clip nonstop, trying to figure out what Joe really meant. Then came the shocker. Elon Musk got tagged in a snippet from that same podcast, and his response? Just 6 words. The truth cannot be hidden forever. Boom, that single sentence broke the internet overnight. Within hours, millions were re-watching the clip, zooming in on Joe's expression, analyzing Elon's tone, and wondering if these two were hinting at something way bigger. Why would the world's richest man and the biggest podcaster both suddenly talk about a case everyone thought was closed? Some called it coincidence, others said it was a coded message, a quiet warning that something darker is buried under the surface. Whatever it was, that tiny exchange turned an old rumor into a full-blown national conversation. As the clip spread across TikTok, Reddit, and YouTube Shorts, people began dissecting every second. The pauses, the side glances, even Rogan's nervous laugh. Fans started asking,
he set it up in a way that, like, okay, you're saying something that's actually factually inaccurate,
right,
according to the narrative. Now, let's be real clear. I don't necessarily think they know what's going on yet. There's a lot of weird shit going on with this.
I know.
Really.
I almost texted you when the Charlie Kirk thing happened because my antennas went up about, they showed the photo of that kid, or the guy that they have, the 22-year-old,
yeah,
whatever. And I was almost gonna be like, dude.
Does Rogan know something the rest of us don't? And of course, Elon had to make things even crazier. He didn't drop another comment. Instead, he just liked a few of Candace Owens' posts questioning the official version of Charlie Kirk's story. That subtle move said more than any tweet ever could. And with just one tiny click from Elon Musk, the entire internet went absolutely wild. Within minutes, hashtags about Charlie's widow, Candace Owens, Joe Rogan, and Musk flooded every corner of social media. It felt like the world stopped to figure out what these two powerful men knew and why they seemed to be hinting at something they couldn't say out loud. Their silence, their vague posts, their timing, it all felt too calculated to be random. Suddenly, theories were popping up like fireworks. Some people swore Rogan and Musk were exposing a cover-up, that their cryptic comments were warnings disguised as casual chatter. Others believed the two were simply playing mind games, testing how easily the media could be manipulated. But one thing was certain, the timing was way too perfect to brush off as coincidence. Just days earlier, Candace Owens had gone online saying she'd found something massive in her private notes, something too dangerous to release yet. And that was all it took. Like dominoes falling, people started connecting every dot they could find. Candace, Elon, Rogan, Charlie's widow, political YouTubers, conspiracy streamers, underground Twitter accounts, everyone jumped into the storm. Each one had their own exclusive version of the truth. Some claimed Candace had proof of a secret deal involving powerful figures. Others argued Elon and Joe were purposely stirring public curiosity, waking people up to find the truth for themselves. Even mainstream outlets that usually ran from these kinds of stories couldn't resist.
This kid had a rifle with a scope. Now, here's where it gets weird. The first images of this rifle with a scope, I swear to God, it looks like he has a composite stock on it. Like, it looks like a modern 30-06 rifle. There was that one guy who was the decoy. All right, so you got this guy who's an older guy who starts yelling out. Didn't he take his pants down? He took his pants down. This guy,
They dropped half-baked headlines like, the internet loses it over Musk and Rogan's comments, but no one knows why their vague tone only made things worse, feeding the frenzy instead of calming it, and the deeper people dug, the wilder it got. Fans started pulling Rogan's old podcast clips, lining them up with Candace's past live streams, syncing quotes and pauses like detectives chasing a code. A single tweet from Elon was dissected like scripture. People said it had hidden meaning, while Rogan's quiet smirk was slowed down and analyzed frame by frame. In the middle of all that digital chaos, one haunting question spread across every timeline. Is the truth finally leaking out, or are we all being played in one massive social experiment? Because if there's one thing people have learned, it's this. The more secretive the powerful get, the harder the public fights to uncover what they're hiding. This time, Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, Candace Owens, and Charlie Kirk's widow accidentally set off something huge. Their few words, and even their silences, created a chain reaction that sent the internet into total chaos. The scariest part isn't what they said, it's what they didn't say. Sometimes silence hits harder than any confession, and right now, that quiet tension has the world guessing like never before. Every tweet, every podcast, every reaction is being picked apart frame by frame. Fans are convinced that hidden clues are buried in plain sight. But then things took a turn no one saw coming.
11. He was at the Boston bombing.
All the hits.
He called in a fake bomb at another place. And then he did this at this thing. Right after, so somehow or another, this guy has the state of mind that the moment someone gets shot, he yells out and says, I did it, and takes his pants down or something like that. I don't know exactly what he did. Then, ready for this? He gets arrested for child porn right away.
Right after this happened?
Oh, right away. He's in jail for child porn. Why is that? Well, now you can't.
When Rogan's full podcast episode dropped, it wasn't just interesting, it was explosive. People had expected a passing mention of Charlie Kirk, but Joe went all in. He questioned everything, and the way he did it sent shockwaves through every corner of the internet. Speaking in that slow, calm, serious tone he's known for, Rogan began listing details that sounded like they were pulled straight from an investigative film. There are so many things that don't add up, he said, and that one line hit like a bomb. He pointed out how the accused's photo looked off, how the supposed equipment didn't match original witness statements, and how certain timestamps in the official report made no sense at all. Then he dropped the line that made everyone's hair stand on end. If this were a movie, no one would believe it. It was delivered so casually, yet the message was chilling. You could tell he knew he was stepping into dangerous territory, not angry, not wild, just cold and precise. That calm confidence made people lean in closer, hanging on every word. And then came the part that drove social media insane. Rogan quietly said, I almost texted someone when it happened. That one sentence was replayed millions of times across TikTok and Reddit. Viewers froze the frame, slowed it down, zoomed in on his face, and asked the same burning question. Who was he going to text? Elon Musk, Candace Owens, or...
Whenever the authority says something and not prod any further. We can't allow that to happen here. I won't allow that to happen here because this something terrible has traumatized the world, okay? And I feel as though when it comes to this, the media, the government, the talking heads, everyone is confusing us about what actually took place.
Someone directly connected to the whole incident? Every second of Rogan's podcast was picked apart like a crime scene. Fans zoomed in on every shift in his eyes, every tone change, every pause that might have meant hesitation. Before long, the internet decided Rogan wasn't just a host anymore. He'd become part of the story. Some media insiders even said he was using the pretending effect, saying just enough to make people connect the dots themselves without actually spelling anything out. But fans weren't buying that explanation. They were convinced Joe knew a lot more than he was willing to say out loud. On Reddit, TikTok, and X, massive threads popped up connecting the names Rogan, Musk, Candace, and Charlie Kirk's widow. People began comparing timestamps from Rogan's episode with Elon's cryptic tweets, mapping them like pieces of a bigger puzzle. It was wild. Screenshots, voice analysis, lip reading, everything. Over time, the vibe changed. Joe wasn't just an outsider commenting anymore. He'd become a symbol of quiet rebellion for people who knew there was something deeper hiding behind the headlines. The question that kept everyone up at night was Rogan accidentally uncovering something huge, or was he deliberately dropping breadcrumbs to expose what others were trying so hard to bury? And then came that ending. Rogan wrapped up the podcast with a long, silent pause.
And I want to be very clear that I believe, in fact, I know that towards the end, Charlie was fighting for custody of himself. I want to say that. I want to say that plainly. And there are lies that are being told and they need to be slapped down right now.
No music, no outro, just quiet. Millions of viewers sat frozen, staring at their screens, feeling that strange chill, that gut-deep instinct that said, something about this isn't just coincidence. But before the internet could calm down, Elon Musk decided to toss gasoline on the fire. Classic Elon style. And he didn't even have to say much, just a few short tweets, no emojis, no hashtags, no explanations. But with Elon, silence is never empty. It started when a random user replied under one of his posts asking about Rogan's viral episode. Elon's reply, just 7 words. Not everything is what you think. That was it. No follow-up, no clarification. Within minutes, it hit 1 million views. People went absolutely feral, decoding every possible hidden meaning. Then, a few hours later, Elon struck again, this time tweeting, "Sometimes silence says it all." No tags, no context, but everyone instantly knew what and who he was referring to. The internet exploded again. X threads, TikTok theories, YouTube breakdowns, everyone racing to interpret the Elon code. The timing was too perfect to ignore. Rogan's emotional moment on the podcast dropped just hours before Elon's mysterious tweets. Some people believed Elon was subtly confirming that he knew things the public wasn't supposed to know. Others said it was another one of his social experiments and watching how easily the public connects dots that maybe shouldn't be connected. Either way, the timing lined up down to the minute. Within hours, Reddit forums were flooded with elaborate timelines, screenshots comparing Rogan's recording time to Elon's posts. TikTokers were making video essays titled "The Silence Speaks Theory." Everyone was convinced that Musk and Rogan were secretly communicating through subtle cues, the world's richest man and the biggest podcaster in history, talking in code while the rest of us tried to figure out the message. And just as the internet was reaching a fever pitch, boom! Candace Owens showed up, and she came swinging. Out of nowhere, she went live with a chilling intro. "You all need to understand something." That one line was enough to send her name flying up the trending charts again. It was like watching dominoes fall. Rogan started it, Elon added to it, and Candace? She set it ablaze. 3 names, 3 different clues, millions of people connecting dots that no one ever confirmed. Everyone believed this trio knew something, and something big, something hidden behind all those tweets, podcasts, and cryptic statements. Then came Candace's bombshell moment. She posted a single sentence that flipped the entire internet upside down. "Finally, people understand what I've been saying for months. That's it. No tags, no names." But everyone knew what she was talking about. The response was instant chaos. Within minutes, her older clips started resurfacing, moments where she'd mentioned strange inconsistencies in Charlie Kirk's case. People dug up everything, timelines, witness names, even her comments about unexplainable details in official reports. Every little thing suddenly looked like a breadcrumb. A few hours later, Candace went live again, this time for over an hour. Her tone was calm, but every word carried weight. And halfway through, she dropped the line that made people lose their minds. "There are private messages that Charlie wrote about his wife, and the media never dares to mention them." Instantly, social media went nuclear. Her live stream chat was overflowing, fans begging her to show proof, drop screenshots, or read the messages out loud, but Candace just smiled and said softly, "Patience. The truth always finds its way." Then she ended the stream, just like that. She didn't show any evidence, not a single receipt. But that didn't matter. From that moment, the internet was in flames again. People claimed Candace had screenshots, private letters, maybe even parts of Charlie's personal notes. No one knew for sure, but everyone agreed on one thing. If Candace Owens spoke again, something massive was about to break. And then it happened. She brought up the diary. Candace claimed she had access to some of Charlie Kirk's personal notes, written just days before he passed. She said one of them was about his wife, and the way he described their relationship would change everything. But she refused to read it aloud, saying only that once people saw it, they'd never look at the story the same way again. That single shattered the internet all over again. Some people accused her of being dramatic, but most believed she was sitting on the final piece of the puzzle. Major outlets rushed to cover it. Headlines everywhere read, "Candace Owens claims to have Charlie Kirk's personal notes." And just like always, her mystery fueled the fire. Was she telling the truth? Was she bluffing to expose how scared the media is to touch this case? No one could tell, but everyone could feel that the story was far from over. Then Candace added one more detail, the one that stopped hearts cold. She claimed Charlie's final writings showed that he felt isolated, that he didn't know who to trust anymore. She said he even believed someone close to him was being unfaithful and that he'd been watched inside his own home. According to Candace, his final line read, "I don't know who I can trust anymore." She never released the full note, just a small, cropped, blurred image of it. But that was enough to send the internet into absolute meltdown. Within hours, X, TikTok, and Reddit were flooded with posts, videos, and wild theories. Everyone was trying to figure out what Charlie really meant, and whether the people he trusted most might have been part of something far darker than anyone ever imagined. People started asking the real question, was Charlie trying to leave a warning, a signal that slipped past everyone while he was still here? Or are folks reading ghosts into the margins because the answers never came fast enough? And right away, every eye locked on one person, the widow, with whispers about whether those lines were aimed at her, or if there was a bigger force in the shadows that those words were really circling around. That hazy space in between became the perfect spark, and the rumor engine roared to life like it had been waiting for a green light. The internet split clean down the middle, two camps with two loud stories and zero patience for the other side's take. One side said Candace Owens was pulling back a curtain on something serious, that the Charlie Kirk situation never added up and needed daylight, not silence. They swore she was speaking for regular people, pushing into territory most big outlets wouldn't touch and doing it head on. The other camp wasn't having it, saying Candace was gaming the timeline and finessing attention, choosing flashy fragments to stir emotion and rack up views. Some even argued she was turning Charlie's loss into a spotlight, stacking her brand off the chaos. But love her or not, the timeline was glued to her name, and more than anything obsessed with those mysterious notes tied to Charlie's last days. In under 24 hours, the web felt unhinged. Clips, threads, and think pieces flooded every platform with titles like Hidden Truth, Charlie Kirk's last message, and who couldn't he trust? Reddit blew up with mega threads while comment sections ran hot through the night, and everybody became a handwriting detective with theories for days. People zoomed in on the slant of the letters, claiming it leaned left like fear, distrust, or pressure might have changed his hand under stress. Others swore they spotted initials nested in the lines or tiny repeating marks that looked like coded nudges, like Charlie was trying to speak to someone specific without spelling names out loud. TikTok turned into a lab, uploads every hour with side-by-side comparisons, tempo-slowed frames, and pop-up arrows hunting for patterns. Then came the tech angle. Some creators ran handwriting recognition to argue it really was Charlie, while others dropped comparison models and said the image Candace showed carried light edits around the edges. A few accounts went further, floating the idea there were multiple versions of the same note, each one cropped to feed a different storyline, leaving the public with slices instead of the full page. Meanwhile, independent commentators on YouTube and podcasts jumped in to unpack the psychology, how holding back information can be its own power move, and whether someone as careful as Charlie would leave a message this open-ended on purpose. Some called it coincidence, sure, but others believed he penned it that way to force someone specific to think twice. Not a confession, but a pressure point. The more people poked at it, the deeper they fell into a spiral of doubt. And that's the twist. Nobody could truly verify the note, yet the uncertainty itself became the fuel that kept the story spinning. By now, Charlie's last words had grown way past rumor. It turned into a culture-wide mystery, with everyone guarding their own version of the truth like it was case law. Journalists reached out to Candace for sourcing, trying to lock down the origin and the chain of custody, but her answer stayed the same. Time will tell. That one line made people even hungrier, not just for what Charlie wrote, but for why Candace chose this moment to surface it, which made the whole thing feel even stranger, like a puzzle built from silences, missing lines, and blurred edges that still shook the timeline anyway. Across TikTok, thousands did what the internet always does when a riddle drops. Zoom, crop, slow-mo, enhance, repeat. Creators scrubbed Candace's live stream frame by frame, trying to read the blurred paper she held. The one people said came from Charlie's diary. And the comments lit up with guesses about hidden words peeking through the haze. Some swore they caught terms like plan or timing and started connecting it to how quickly Charlie's widow stepped forward after the tragedy. Fast enough to raise eyebrows for some viewers who were already primed to suspect strategy over circumstance. Others said the words pointed at something wider than family, a political move or a project Charlie teased but never took public. The kind that makes enemies you can't post about. At the same time, Rogan's audience kept saying Candace's hints lined up with his calm warning on the podcast that the official version doesn't sit perfectly with the facts as laid out. And then the part that sent everything into overdrive hit the feed. Elon Musk quietly tapped like on a handful of posts about the theory, the kind that claimed Charlie knows something he can't say, and that was enough to crank the speculation back to max volume. So now the question won't go away. Was that note a breadcrumb, a pressure valve, or a shield meant to protect someone by sounding vague while saying a lot? Is the focus on the widow a misread born from emotion, or a necessary angle when timing and behavior feel off to a crowd that's already suspicious? Either way, the ambiguity owns the room, and the internet won't stop until the page isn't blurred, the date is locked, and the source is verified for real, not just hinted at. And just like that, Elon Musk did it again. One tiny move and social media blew up like a ticking bomb. At this point, it wasn't even about who believed what anymore. It was about being part of it. Everyone wanted in. From small creators and curious fans to mainstream commentators and verified journalists, the internet became one giant battlefield of theories, opinions, and guesswork. Everyone had their own truth. and together it became an endless, expanding galaxy of speculation that nobody could control. Then, just when things started to settle a bit, Candace Owens stepped back into the chaos with that familiar calm energy that always spells trouble. She went live for a short Q&A, casual at first, answering harmless questions, until one brave viewer asked, "Do you think Charlie's widow knows more than she's letting on?" The entire chat froze. You could feel the tension through the screen. Candace stayed silent for a few long seconds, then said just 7 words. "Let's just say he wrote about trust for a reason." Then she smiled, gave a small nod, and ended the stream. No follow-up, no clarification, just silence. And that silence hit harder than any headline ever could. Within minutes, the clip flooded every platform. Millions of replays, thousands of theories, people arguing in the comments like it was the trial of the century. Some swore she'd just confirmed everything, that the trust note was a direct message about the widow. Others claimed Candace was masterfully playing the internet, keeping everyone hooked with mystery. But whether she meant to or not, it worked like a spell. The digital world was obsessed. By the next morning, new hashtags were everywhere. Dear Charlie's Journal, What Did She Know, Trust Notes, all trending worldwide. And then, because the internet can't resist pouring gasoline on a fire, Elon Musk liked another post, a meme that simply read, "The truth always leaves crumbs." The second people saw that like, chaos erupted all over again. "Elon's talking about Candace," one user tweeted. "He knows something," another shouted. But skeptics jumped in, saying it was all just a stunt to feed engagement, 2 sides, 2 stories, and in between them, an entire digital storm grew stronger. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan stayed silent, not a word, not a tweet, nothing. And somehow his silence made everything even more intense. People started saying the quiet between Rogan, Musk, and Candace wasn't coincidence. It was strategy. A media triangle, as one TikTok creator called it, testing how far public curiosity could go before breaking the system. Clips of Candace's trust moment flooded TikTok. Her slight smile, her steady eyes, the tone of her voice, all dissected in slow motion. "That's the look of someone who knows more than she's saying," one viral comment read. Others argued she was just reading from a script, turning the moment into theater. But regardless of which theory people believed, one thing was clear. The internet was locked in. The Charlie Kirk diaries, the notes of trust, the triangle of silence, it had all become bigger than gossip. It was a full-blown cultural moment, an unstoppable digital storm that refused to fade. Everyone was waiting for something, for Candace to drop the diary, for Elon to post another cryptic line, or for Rogan to finally break his silence. But the longer they waited, the deeper they fell into the mystery, trapped in a loop where rumor, doubt, and belief blurred into one. And that's when it hit people. In this era, a single tweet can start a revolution, a half sentence can build a movement, and silence might just be the loudest form of communication out there. The saga of Candace Owens, Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, and Charlie Kirk's mysterious diaries proved one chilling truth. In the digital age, it's not facts that shape reality, it's momentum. One subtle comment, a blank stare, a cryptic meme, all it takes to set off a chain reaction across the globe. It's a reminder that when everyone's shouting their version of the truth, sometimes the real story drowns in the noise. And maybe that's the point, because in this world, nobody has to bury the truth anymore. They just have to bury it in content. So before you share, pause. Before you believe, question. Because not everything that goes viral is real, and not everything that's real is allowed to go viral. If you want to keep up with stories like this, the ones hiding behind the headlines, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment down below. Tell us what you think about the diary, about Rogan's silence, about Elon's cryptic posts. We read them all. And remember, we'll be right here uncovering what others won't. See you on the next one.